What's good, Wizards fans, and welcome to the Locked On Wizards podcast. It's your host, the real Ed Oliver, with my guy, Brandon Scott. And today we're going to be answering mailbag questions. Let's get to it.
You are Locked On Wizards, your daily Washington Wizards podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
What's going on, Wizards fans? Welcome to Locked On Wizards podcast. I want to thank you guys for making Locked On Wizards your first listen every day. We are free and available wherever you get podcasts. This episode is brought to you by BetterHelp. As the world's largest therapy service, BetterHelp has matched 3 million people with professionally licensed and vetted therapists. Available 100% online. Learn more and save 10% of your first month at betterhelp.com/lockedonnba. All right, so today we're doing a mailbag episode. We just want to thank you guys for submitting your questions. We got one question on Twitter, and then we got a couple questions on the YouTube community tab. So make sure you guys subscribe to Locked On Wizards on YouTube as well. The first question is from DMV Scott on Twitter. It's DMV _Scott, so SCOTT. He says, what lineup combinations do you guys want to see? And when do we expect to see Todd, meaning Isaiah Todd, get some in-game reps? What are your thoughts, Brandon?
First, shout out to the last name. I like Scott. That's a good last name. What combinations? There's a few combinations that I kind of want to see going forward. One would be a bigger lineup. Maybe seeing Gaff at the 5, maybe KP at the 4. To go against a team like the Cavs, who would, you got Evan Mobley at the 4 and Jared Allen at the 5. I like to see that combination. To round out the lineup, where would I go? For a taller lineup, I would roll with Kuz at the 3. I would roll with Barton at the 2, and I would roll with Denny bringing the ball up in a taller lineup. In a 3-point lineup, that is a good question. I would roll with KP at the 5 because he can shoot from high percentage from behind the arc. Rui, I would roll at 4. Kuz at the 3. It gets good after that. Man, I'm torn, between Kispert and Barton, but I would have to roll with Kispert, and I would roll with Goodwin at the point. And going with Isaiah Todd, I agree. I think that, I've said it before. I think within the next couple of years, I'd like to see him kind of integrated into the rotation. I think he's a talented, raw, but talented big who can shoot a jumper, who can shoot from behind the arc. He's real raw, but the athleticism is there. So, I will definitely love to see him in the rotation within the next couple seasons.
Mm-hmm. Definitely is. So the rotations are going to be, interesting now with Bradley Beal coming back and then DeLon Wright coming back in a couple weeks, most likely in December. So as you brought up the 3-point shooting lineup, I wrote down a defensive lineup. Jordan Goodwin has been a pest on the defensive side of the ball. Of course, you got to have Denny in there at the 3. I got Gaff at the 5, but you really could have Porzingis at the 5 too, because he's been blocking shots. He's been controlling the paint and contesting a lot of shots, just making it tough for guys to get to the lane and finish. I have Kuz at the 4. Of course, if DeLon is back, then I want to see Goodwin and DeLon play together, just for their defense, just being pests. I could see DeLon guarding 1s and 2s, and Goodwin has done a good job guarding other point guards. He's been a pest guarding shooting guards as well. Bradley Beal's not in my defensive lineup, but he could definitely come in and contribute as well. So I got Goodwin when DeLon comes back, Jordan Goodwin for defense, DeLon in there on the defensive line, and DeLon Wright, Denny at the 3, Kuz at the 4, Gafford at the 5. Like I said, Porzingis could be interchangeable. If DeLon's not there, then the defensive lineup, yes, I would put Bill at the 2, Denny at the 3, Kuz at the 4, and then Gafford at the 5 or Porzingis at the 5. That's my defensive lineup. 3-point shooting lineup, like you brought up, I would have Jordan Goodwin, Corey Kispert, Will Barton at the 3, Kuz at the 4, and Zingas at the 5. Now, I know Denny has shot better from the 3 in the last 2 games, but I still want to see more consistency. Kispert has been hot from the 3. He's been knocking it down the last couple games. As he did have that perfect game. Goodwin's been shooting the 3 well. Monte Morris could get in there too. He's been knocking down the 3. Just if we're down by like 10 and we got to get a comeback going, spacing out the floor. And then you talked about a big lineup. I do want to see a small ball lineup, just depending on the matchups. I know the Jazz, they went smaller sometimes. I know if we play the Warriors, they're going to go small. Draymond Green will play a center sometimes. I know we don't play the Warriors in a couple weeks, but if we had to go a small ball lineup, we talked about Kuz, Rui, and Denny playing together, and I think Kuz could play the 5, Rui could play the 4, Denny could play the 3, and you could have Bill at the 2 and Goodwin at the 1. So I don't have Monte Morris in any of my lineups. I like Monte coming off the bench really. But yeah, Monte could be interchanging those lineups too, because Monte can knock down the 3 too. But if I had to go small ball lineup, like I said, it would be Goodwin, Bill at the 2, Kuz, Rui, and Denny at the 5, and then Zingis would be getting rest on the bench, just depending on the matchup of guys. But Zingis has been doing a good job moving his feet and blocking shots as well. So, but the tall lineup you brought up was intriguing too, with Gaff and KP playing at the same time. We just haven't seen them do that much. I guess just because of the matchups. But if we want to impose our will on other teams, then I could definitely see Wes Unseld Jr. having a big lineup with KP, Gaff, Kuz, Denny, and Bill out there, and Kuz running the point forward spot.
Yeah, it's an intriguing question because we have so much depth and so many guys who can kind of play here and there that you very often you can see a different name on there depending on the team we're playing against. If you're going against Cleveland, I would definitely like to see a taller lineup because I would like to see us counteract Jared Allen and Evan Mobley. I think Cleveland, a lot of people were skeptical about, how effective could Evan Mobley be as a taller guy coming out of the draft USC at the 4 position. And he has proven that, we have in the past, we had Nene play at the 4, who, he was a traditional center and we played him at the 4. So, playing a center at the 4 can work, especially if you're playing KP at the 4 because he can shoot. He's more mobile. I wouldn't switch it around. I wouldn't have KP at the 5 and Gafford at the 4. I think that would be a disaster. So, but I'm definitely intrigued to see that lineup. And a 3-point shooting lineup, like I said, there's a lot of questions because it's weird that you don't see Bill. And then, what I mean? Neither one of us said Bill. In years past, Bill would have been concrete in that lineup. So it just shows how much his 3-point shot has kind of declined a little bit. And, we said it before. He's turned into more of a DeMar DeRozan type player, shooting a lot of mid ranges, which, analytic wise is not very popular, but like we always say, if it works, it works. So, but that's the intriguing part about this combination of lineups, because we have a lot of guys who can play multiple positions. So it's good to be able to be in that position, to be able to have that combination of guys, because we didn't always have that in years past,
Right. And will Bill's 3-point shooting go up now because, we found out since he's been out that we have other guys that can create shots for other guys. Like if Kuz can get downhill and get open shots for Bill, then he'll have more open looks from the 3-point line. Jordan Goodwin, same thing. He's getting downhill more than what Monte Morris was doing. So will that open up better looks for Bradley Beal, equaling a better shooting percentage for Bradley Beal? So that can help out too. And our 3-point percentage has definitely gotten better. Now we're 21st in 3-point percentage when we were bottom 5. So it's a small jump, but we've definitely moved up. I mean, we hit 19 threes last night, and then we hit 15 or 16 threes. So we've just been a lot better shooting the 3-ball. I think that's because we're moving the ball and getting open shots for guys as well. So, but yeah, there's a lot of combinations. And then when DeLon Wright gets in there too, he can shoot the 3 too. So, and I was looking at the last game too against the Grizzlies. West only played 9 guys. So now the rotation will go to 10 guys. So somebody's minutes is going to decrease. That may be Goodwin. It could be Gaff with Bill coming back. I mean, I don't know if it's going to be Gaff, but it's probably going to be Kispert's minutes decreasing with Bradley Beal coming back, because Kispert got 32 minutes last night. Now he's going to be the backup too, so his minutes are going to go down. Anthony Gill did not play. You remember he was starting a couple games, and now he's not playing at all. So it looks like West found a good rotation with Bill being out. So it's going to be intriguing to see how he handles it when Bill comes back on Wednesday.
Yeah, that's a good question, because who's going to be the odd man out? It could be Jordan Goodwin, especially with DeLon Wright coming back. It really depends on where West wants to go with his lineup. At a full lineup, really at starting point guard, the full lineup, that's the question mark. Does Monte Morris take that role going forward? Or do you see more playing time for DeLon or Jordan Goodwin? I think point guard is a position to watch. I think there's a competition right now. I think there's a competition. There's a 3-man competition for that starting role. Again, 2-guard, Bill's got it, but on the bench, Kispert, Barton can interchange between the 3 and the 2. So it's so many combinations, so many possibilities. And that's a good problem to have with this team. to have an overabundance of guy, again, who can play multiple positions. So, it's definitely a blessing.
Yeah, definitely. It's a good problem to have until it becomes a problem. It's the same thing that happened last year. So, I would like to see them find roles and find, minutes where guys fit. I think we just have a really unselfish team where, last year they were fighting over the ball and touches and whatnot. So I do think it's going to work out better, but it is going to be tough when DeLon comes back and Brad comes back because you're going to have 3 point guards that are fighting for minutes. So it is going to be tough, but Goodwin, they just have to find some minutes for him. So Wes is going to have to make some tough decisions, but I do like the Rui Kuz Denny lineup because they can switch and defend. They got long arms out there and just being disruptive, but we're going to move on to the next question. But before we do that, this episode is brought to you by Sweatblock. I had an experience one time where I used Sweatblock and it helped a lot. There was a time where I went to a wedding and, dancing, having a good time. But, I look at my pits and, it just looks like there's a puddle right there. But the next time I went out and I went to another wedding, I didn't have that problem. You know why? Because I used Sweatblock. Sweatblock wipes have been a bestseller on Amazon for the past 10 years with over 10,000 5-star reviews. Don't miss this opportunity to try Sweatblock. Jennifer, she used to wear multiple shirts and fold toilet paper in her armpits to try to hide the embarrassing sweat. Not anymore, thanks to Sweatblock. If you or someone you love is experiencing embarrassing sweat or odor, try Sweatblock. Save 20% with promo code LOCKEDON at sweatblock.com. Also available on Amazon. Promo code is LOCKED ON. This episode is also brought to you by Rocket Money. So the other day I tried to cancel my Amazon Prime subscription and it took me, I kid you not, 4 different tries. Like, how does it take 3 hours to deliver an Amazon purchase? But to cancel my subscription, I also have to cancel plans for the next several hours. But it's not just me. 80% of people have subscriptions they forgot about. That's why I love using Rocket Money, formerly known as Truebill. It makes it super, super easy to cancel subscriptions that you do not want. Are you wasting money on subscriptions? 80% of people have subscriptions they forgot about. Maybe for you, it's an unused Amazon Prime account or a Hulu account that never gets streamed. There's this great app I use that helps me track all of my expenses. And because of it, I no longer waste money on subscriptions I don't even use. You might have heard of it. It's called Rocket Money, formerly known as Truebill. The app shows all your subscriptions in one place and cancels what you don't want. What you don't want for you. Rocket Money can even find subscriptions you didn't know you were paying for. You may even find out you've been double charged for a subscription. To cancel a subscription, all you have to do is press cancel, and Rocket Money takes care of the rest. So thank you guys for listening, making Locked On Wizards your first listen every day. Now for your second listen, make sure you guys check out Locked On Sports Today on YouTube, wherever you get a podcast. From the games that matter the most to the biggest stories in sports, go beyond the scoreboard and behind the scenes with local experts and insights only Locked On can provide. Locked On Sports Today, available on this app, YouTube, and wherever you get podcasts. All right, Brandon, did you answer the question about Isaiah Todd? Just want to get to that real quick.
Oh, yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay. Isaiah Todd, I don't see him getting any playing time this season. We're already fighting to just get Jordan Goodwin on the floor when we're thinking about it when DeLon comes back. Bradley Beal comes back, Corey Kisper's minutes are going to get a decrease. So, and he's a wing, so you got Rui Kuz and Denny and Gafford and Porzingis. So I just don't see it this year. Maybe next year he'll get on the court because I don't see minutes for Johnny Davis. I just don't see a lot of minutes for some young guys in the G League right now. I really like Chris Dunn. I would like to see what he could do, but we already have point guards right now. So it's just tough right now with this roster. The roster is really packed right now with positions. All right, so this question is from Carlos Holloway. This was submitted 5 days ago. I put this question up 5 days ago. People started answering. This one's about Wes Unseld Jr. Carlos Holloway says, do you all want Wes Unseld Jr. fired? And if so, who would y'all want as to be the next head coach?
I think it's too early to talk about firing him. I think he's cemented into the role right now. It's year 2. So year 2 is usually where you want to see whether they make that step or they take a step back. I think, it's a tough one. Has he been inconsistent? Yes. Has he fully implemented his system, or have they acquired the pieces to fully implement that system? I don't think so. And that's why, you can kind of slide this question in with the depth. Like you said, depth is an asset till it becomes a problem. And when Delon and Taj comes back, it's going to be a problem. You got a lot of guys going for minutes. And when you have G League guys who are playing well, Tommy and Wes are going to have a tough assignment going ahead because they're going to have to make a move going towards the deadline because there's overabundance of guys who, you have a bunch of guys who deservingly should play. Jordan Goodwin deserves minutes. He deserves to be on the court. DeLon Wright, I think, has proven enough before the injury to be on the court. Monte, he's been consistent, but he is still an asset. Now, I think his role should be on the bench. That's just my opinion. Now, if you look at Kuz and Rui and even Kispert, they're looking good. And that makes it even harder because Kispert, where do you play him? Obviously, he's going to be on the bench role, but where do you play him? Rui, and especially with the contracts coming up, contract years coming up, it's a lot of tough decisions ahead. But getting back to Isaiah Todd, like I said earlier, he has a lot of potential. Bigs now are, they have to be shooters. He's shown the capability to shoot at a high level. I think the biggest thing for him is kind of maybe adding some muscle, finding more post moves, being better in the post, I think would be his goal because, perimeter game is just not an issue for Isaiah Todd. So like I said, 1 to 2 years, I can see him kind of being moved into the rotation. But again, that's dependent on what moves they make. Because, like we keep saying, there's moves that have to be made and they're coming.
Yeah, to piggyback off what you said, all of my lineups had Goodwin at the point guard position or DeLon at the point guard position. I didn't have Monte in there. I said Monte could be interchangeable in there, but I had all my lineups included Jordan Goodwin in there. So Jordan Goodwin, in my opinion, I think he should start. But, Wes is getting better. This ties into the Wes question too. No, I don't right now after the Nets game where they lost by 42 points. I said that they need to reevaluate his job. After that was just my initial reaction to it. It could have been a knee-jerk reaction. Just if you see your team lose by 42 at home, the worst home loss in the history of the Wizards, I mean, it's hard not to say that, say things like that. It just needs to be evaluated, especially after how things finished last year. I think he is starting to get a stronger voice over the team where he struggled with that last year where he was, he had problems controlling the locker room and finding roles for guys. And, there's players complaining per reports. Players are saying that the offense is too complicated and that it takes them too long to get into their sets. I think it looks simplified in the past 4 games where they're just moving the ball. They're just moving the ball. They're setting screens. They're cutting to the basket. They're getting the ball to Porzingis. They're getting the ball to their best players in their best spots. They're running in transition. They're pushing the pace. Where Wes, I think he's also said that he wants them to push the pace and they want to get up more threes, and they've been able to do that the last 4 games. So I'm just hoping that can continue with Bradley Beal. Can he keep whatever magic or whatever flow he's got going with this 4-game win streak? Can he continue with that with Bradley Beal? So I think he's doing a better job with that. I think he's helped Denny grow over the last 4 games as well, just giving him more opportunities, of course. So yeah, the defense looks better too. That was one of my disappointments, is just the defense under Wes. Right now, they're actually 11th in defensive rating. That's a huge jump from where they were. They really jumped up, and they're 7th in opponent points in the paint allowed. They're 7th in the league right now. Now, another lineup that I forgot to say too was Jordan Goodwin, Will Barton, Rui, Kuz, and Gaff. They have an 83.3 defensive rating. They played 27 minutes together, so they've done a really good job on the defensive side of the ball. Barton does a good job with Gaff. They have a nice pick and roll duo. Rui can knock down a 3. Kuz can knock down a 3. They both can finish. And Kuz, the nice passes he gave to Rui, the behind the no look pass where Rui dunked on Kleber, where Rui dunked on Kelly Olynyk, and the up and under play by Rui where he finished. So Rui and Kuz, they play really well together. So I want to see those guys play more together. I know Rui doesn't start, but they definitely got to stagger those minutes and have a starter in there with the bench. And like you said with Todd, I basically piggyback over everything you said on that. He does need to gain muscle. I know he's a lean player. He's more of he's a finesse big. I compare it to Rashard Lewis where he shoots 3. He does shoot a lot of threes. That's the main part of his game. But I do want to see him mix it up in the paint a little bit and get to the basket and put the ball on the floor a little bit more. He needs to rebound better too. So I think he needs another year developing. I'm not going to compare him to Bol, but Bol, he hasn't done. He's just starting to get start. Bol, he's having a breakout year, and this is what Bowl's third year because we drafted Admiral Schofield, and that was 3 years ago now. So
yeah.
So it takes time with these guys. I don't think Isaiah Todd is going to contribute much. I don't see a room for him on his roster right now. But I think maybe next year, if he's still on the roster, I think he can certainly help out.
I could definitely see him helping out. I like his game. He just needs to add weight. That's to get the banging it out in the paint. You need some muscle. We just saw Steven Adams. Look, Steven Adams is one of the strongest guys in the league. Dude's strong. And you saw Gaff. Gaff was getting pushed around a little bit. And the first thing I was thinking in my head is like, Gaff, you got to add some muscle, man, because Steven Adams is strong. And you see a lot of guys. Look, Joel Embiid is strong. These centers are big guys, man. And, so you got to have some strength down there. But kind of going back to Wes, I see two factors that you got to think about when it comes to Wes Unseld and his job as a head coach. One, what should happen with this franchise doesn't always happen. So, you can kind of sit back and say, oh, it's time for him to go. But we know how Ted is. And Ted's going to, one is Wes Unseld Jr. So, the name alone is going to get him at least 3 years minimum. Because, this is how the franchise is. Second, now, they got their guy. They stick with their guy a long time. Ernie stayed here longer than he should have. Ernie has some serious job security. So that's just how this team is. You don't always see the moves that need to happen. Now, that obviously I take that back a little bit with Tommy. I think Tommy's been a good general manager, but Wes, you still got to be patient with him. He's taking a little bit to get the system implemented, but very often than not, if you go from two different systems, going from Scott Brooks to his, it takes a while to implement it, especially when that system that preceded the one now has been in place for so long. It takes a while. Culture changes take a while. You look at, with our football team, Washington Commanders, the culture changes take forever, but, they tend to take forever. It's tough to take a system out and implement a new one. So in all defense for Wes, inconsistent, yes, but I do see some light in the end of the tunnel. It is starting to come together. The defense is starting to get better. 3-point shooting is starting to get better. So, I would definitely play the wait and see approach with Wes Unseld.
Yep. And before we wrap up with another question, this episode is brought to you by Prize Picks from Brandon.
Yes, sir. Prize Picks. How does it work? Well, you pick 2 to 5 players, and if they go score more or less than the Prize Picks projections, you can win up to 10 times your money on any entry. I do it all the time. It's my go-to app. No competing against other people. It's just you versus the projections available. Prize Picks offers projections on any sport that you can watch. The NBA, the NFL, Major League Baseball, NHL, PGA, college football, men's and women's college basketball, soccer, WNBA, NASCAR, tennis, MMA, boxing, cricket, and more. Entries can be made in 60 seconds or less. It's that easy. Safe and fast withdrawals. Currently operational over 30 states and Canada. Download the Prize Picks app or go to prizepicks.com to sign up and play daily fantasy sports. First-time users can receive a 100% instant deposit match up to $100 with the promo code Locked On. If you deposit $100, Prize Picks will give you $100. If you deposit $50, Prize Picks will give you $50. Don't forget to enter promo code Locked On as sign up for instant deposit match up to $100.
All right. So last question, we'll just say yes or no on this one. Then we'll wrap it up and then continue tomorrow, wrapping up the mailbag questions and then preview the game on Wednesday against the Oklahoma City Thunder. This is from XD_Zaytoven. He says Bradley Beal and Rui for Jaylen Brown, Al Horford, and 2 second-round picks or too early crying laughing emoji. This one's on YouTube.
Ooh. Yes.
Okay, why?
The contract is just the thing. If you have a chance to, here's my thing, and I know people aren't going to like what I'm about to say, but for a max guy who's earning in his 30s, where his main skills are diminishing, if you have a chance to get off that contract, you have to get off that contract. I love Bradley Beal, but that contract is something else. That contract, when you sign a Supermax contract, we talked about it last night. When you sign a Supermax contract, there are expectations. Your performance has expectations. Criticism has you open yourself up to a whole new level of criticism. John Wall took a lot of criticism in the Nation's Cap, man. A lot of criticism. Years people complaining that he was out of shape, he clubbed too much, he didn't take things serious, and he took a lot of criticism. Russ wasn't here long enough to really catch any kind of criticism. There was here and there, selfishness on the court, this and that. But, it comes a lot. That contract, you have to perform. And, we talked about Kuz and KP, the offense rolling through them. And the problems that might arise because your second fiddle is a supermax player. Problems might arise. People, there are egos. I mean, it's sports, man. So me personally, if I'm Tommy Shepard, you go forward as if he's the man. But if there's a chance that I can get draft picks in return and I can get a young player like Jaylen Brown and Al Horford, look, he's older, but he's still solidified as a really good starting big in his league. So if there's a chance to move on from this contract and free up some money going into the offseason, I'm rolling with it.
Yeah. So I think the Celtics would decline this trade, giving up Jaylen Brown and Al Horford, because like you said, Al Horford was huge for them making it to the finals. They don't make it to the NBA finals last year without Al Horford. I mean, he played really well. He had a career relevation there. And they would give us 2 seconds to take on Bill's contract and Rui. Jaylen Brown, you look at his contract, he has a favorable contract. Jaylen Brown he made the All-Star game one time in his career, but Jaylen Brown, you look at his contract right now. I'm looking at SpotRack, SpotRack.com. He is, like I said, this is not a realistic scenario. So I know people are going to comment a lot, but this is not realistic because once again, Bradley Beal has to request a trade to the Celtics. But I do think if he did request a trade, I think everybody would bet money on BetOnline that it would be the Celtics, of course, to play with his best buddy, Jason Tatum. I think everybody would put money down on that. Jaylen Brown's making $26 million this year, and then next year he's going to make $28 million, where Brad is making about, was it $50 million per year? I got to look it up, something like that. So that's a really good contract for Jaylen Brown, who right now, you look at his numbers this year too, he's averaging 25 points a game, and he's shooting 35% from the three-point line off of 7 threes per game. And that would be awesome for Bradley Beal at this point. I mean, he's really been struggling from the three-point line. Jaylen Brown can get to the basket at will. He can put the ball on the floor. He's a 3-level scorer. He's 6'6", 223 pounds, super athletic, and he can defend as well. So I would love that trade a lot better than a Lakers trade. I'll say that. That would be 10 times better. But like I said, it's just it is too early to answer your question for sure. But if there was a trade available, I think that's the best trade you could get. That's why I said when we had the conversation the other day, there's better trades out there than the trade that we were talking about last week. And I think that would be that would be a good trade for the Wizards. I mean, I don't see the Celtics doing that at all. That wouldn't make sense for the Celtics to do that at all.
No, the Celtics hang up. They're not going to do that trade. Jaylen is just for the reasons you said. Jaylen is a young guy who his projections are going up. And I mean, really, Jaylen and Bradley Beal are passing each other. One player is kind of going down, the other player is making that extension, and it is what it is. So yeah, I think Boston, they say no, but I think that would be a trade that I would definitely go for, because I know, like you said, it's early.
It is early,
but can't stop you from dreaming a little bit, but nah, and Bradley Beal, I think he's still a top scorer in his league. As much as we harp on him, we get on him a lot. The contract is a reason why, but as a player, he's all right. He's going to be fine going forward. I think him coming back is going to be a good thing for this team. This team's they're going to be good going forward.
Definitely, yep. So we're going to wrap it up here. Just want to thank you guys for making Locked On Wizards your first listen every day. Once again, make sure to make Locked On Sports today your second listen. You can check them out on YouTube, wherever you get a podcast. From the games that matter the most to the biggest stories in sports, go beyond the scoreboard and behind the scenes with local experts and insights only Locked On can provide. Locked On Sports today, available on this app, YouTube, or wherever you get your podcast. Once again, just want to thank you guys for listening. Make sure you guys subscribe on YouTube and wherever you guys get a podcast. We're almost at 3,000 subscribers on YouTube. Make sure you guys leave a 5-star review as well. That will help us out a lot. We thank you guys for listening and watching from everywhere you can. Hail to the Wizards. Peace.